Hey friends. Whew. These days just keep on coming. I had a great day of rehearsal today, a long day. These are 6-hour days over the weekend, and we today, went a little later, and then we had a writer's meeting afterwards, so it was like another hour and a good 90 minutes, I would say. So, long day, but a great day. Really, really successful in terms of seeing people moving forward and stuff really progressing, and actors and everyone, musicians, everyone really just kind of getting more familiar, and it's starting to feel like a show. It's starting to feel, we ran Act 1 today, except for the last 10 minutes or so of it, and it really starting to feel like it's hanging together. There's a kind of flow to it. Anyway, all that was great, and I came away from it. There's several things that came through. One, and it kind of started yesterday. I realized something after I did my post yesterday, and I realized that I had tracked something over the course of the day, and that I didn't really mention in my post. And so then I took that into the day with me today, and it sort of expanded and became something. It really sort of like opened up in a new way. So I'll try and kind of describe that. But so essentially, I was sitting in rehearsal yesterday, and I had a sense come through of, it was like a moment where I was like, so the whole first couple of weeks, right? We're getting to the end of week 2 of rehearsal, and the whole first couple of weeks have been this kind of thrilling, it's like a rocket taking off. And especially as music director, slash arranger slash keyboard programmer, there's the first push is just, that's where all the weight is. That's where I do all my heavy lifting. And so it's this blast off, and there's an intensity to it. And then, as I've been saying, things kind of like settle a little bit. And I noticed yesterday, kind of palpably for the first time, that sense of urgency was almost like something that I missed. And I was like, and there was a moment where I could observe myself going, where's that going to come from? Where's the next urgency going to come from? What's the next urgent thing? Like, where am I going to get that feeling of that pressure that energizes me, and that also exhausts me, because of kind of how all-consuming it is in those initial days and weeks. And I noticed that happening. I noticed that impulse, or that observation of like, oh, I actually have space here. What am I going to do about that? Am I going to amp up into essentially drama? Like, am I going to find some way of making this experience more intense, more dramatic? Am I going to create drama, basically? And then I thought, what if I don't? What if I don't create drama? What if I let myself? What if I let myself be in a place where things are good, where things are okay? And it was a weird feeling, because it was almost like I could very clearly, from the point of view of my kind of higher awareness, I could very clearly see that I did not need to create any drama. But there was an emotional, like, almost like a desire to leap into that, to go in a weird way, unconscious, and be back in that drama, be back in that feeling of drive and urgency. And so observing it and then deciding really not to do that was a really interesting feeling. And I had the thought, it was like, I wonder what's on the other side of this. I wonder what happens when I'm able to go into processes like this, which are incredibly intense and incredibly demanding, but without me creating any extra drama. No emotional drama, no urgency, race against time kind of drama, which is what the first couple weeks often are when I'm, frantically finishing arrangements and getting all the pieces put together before we're in rehearsal and then running rehearsal. What if I don't act? What if, let's just presume for a moment that I'm addicted to that feeling and that I'm just going to put that down. I'm just not going to do that. What happens? And I had this sense of like, oh, well, that would make space for a whole new kind of expansion. That would make space for a whole new kind of stability and professionalism and excellence, a whole different level of excellence, because I'm not taking what I've been given and finding what's dramatic about it. I'm dealing with as much as I can possibly see, and if there are no urgent fires that need putting out, I'm not trying to create fires so that I can put them out. And it just signaled like, oh, this would be an interesting change. But it took that step. It took that step of saying no to the part of me that's kind of addicted to the drama of it and the hype of it, the intensity of it. So that was a really interesting feeling, and that happened kind of yesterday. And I didn't mention that in my video post. I sort of tracked it afterwards. I realized, oh yeah, that was a really significant thing that came through today that I didn't really talk about. So I knew I had it online as something for today. But then rehearsal today was also this really cool experience of kind of settling into that feeling of, okay, nothing needs to be dramatic here. I kind of have my ducks in a row for the most part. Little things here and there, but there's plenty to work on, believe me. But it's not. But nothing. There was no like, oh shit, I need to X. And so what happened was my awareness was able to expand. I'm able to do my job, juggle all the balls I'm juggling, and gain a little bit of distance, gain a little bit of perspective. And I realized, oh wow, like in the experience of that, and then in the way that the rehearsal went, and the way that the way we all kind of pulled together and worked together today, what came through for me was, wow, look at what can happen when I don't need drama in order to be inspired. Look at what can happen when I can truly settle. And then what I realized, what kind of flashed out of that was, oh, I see. The creating of the drama, or the addiction to that intensity, is actually resistance to the expansion. Right? Does that make sense? I realized that my impulse to create drama was one that was actually a form of resistance. It would have looked to my mind, if I had observed it, it would have looked to my mind like, I need to do my job better. I need to there's some way in which I need to be more on the ball here. But actually, what's really happening is I'm refusing to expand my perspective. I'm allowing myself to remain caught on a smaller level, and I'm not allowing myself to go to this bigger level. And then kind of palpably feeling that was huge. And I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. I don't need that's the payoff is the payoff for not doing that is a sense of expansion and a sense of deeper connection to myself, and therefore a larger perspective. And then I was like, well, why would I resist expansion? Why would I resist that? and another impulse kind of hit me, or another flash hit me, where I saw, oh, the reason why I would do that is because it actually, expansion, like when we go on and on about expansion, and we talk a lot in spiritual work and inner work about the feeling of expansion, and it's almost always framed as something positive. So why would we resist it? Why would we resist something that we universally refer to as a positive experience? Well, expansion of our awareness is by definition a sort of decentering of our ego. Our ego actually becomes a smaller and smaller piece of that puzzle. As our perspective expands, it takes in more and more stuff, more and more other people, more and more circumstances and dynamics and energies and everything, more reality, and our individual ego within that becomes a smaller and smaller piece of the picture. Well, if we have an issue with that, then we're going to resist expansion, right? We're not. Then there's going to be a tension there between, I want to expand, I want to feel my consciousness go beyond the boundaries of my limitations. I want to experience consciousness beyond ego, but I don't want to decenter my ego in the process. And this is what today kind of taught me. There was a sort of like palpable lesson, and it was interesting because then I also realized, oh, that's why I didn't articulate this thought yesterday on my post. It's because it was incomplete. I hadn't quite gotten to the full realization that was trying to come through. And today, as it kind of like happened on a break, and then at the end of rehearsal, a couple of these new things slot in throughout the experience. Throughout, also was teaching me stuff, but I had the kind of moments come through at a couple key moments in the day, and I was like, oh, that's what's going on here. I'm seeing both the reward for letting myself not create drama, and what that does for me as a professional, what that does for me as a human being, what that does to my relationships among the people, and also the sort of principle behind it, and a bit of the mechanism of what it means to let go of our ego, what it means to expand, and that there's an implication there about being willing to let my ego recede from view and let go, step back, give my ego space. Like now I can all of a sudden observe my ego. It's like it's sitting there, it's doing its job. I'm in the room, it's doing what it needs to do, but I'm not so enmeshed in it, and I don't have to be. I don't need to be enmeshed with my ego in order for my ego to do its job, in order for my limited self to do what it needs to do in these circumstances. I don't need to be right up on it. It is doing fine. So it gave me that space, and it was a really interesting. So I guess the connection that I'm trying to form in articulating all of this is the sense of that emotional hook of, ooh, where's the drama going to come from, and questioning that and being like, do I need drama? Maybe I don't. Putting it down, kind of having a sense like, oh, there's something beyond this. There's something really interesting that's beyond this. And then seeing that happen, the experience of expansion that followed, and then the insight that, oh, this expansion involves letting go of this, and there's a kind of that was the sort of like, I'm outlining the sort of key, the beats for you that I went through, and for myself, because it was a really interesting process to track. So yeah, you never know what you're going to learn in rehearsal. And all I ever do is bark, so my lines are pretty easy. Anyway, thanks for watching, people. Thanks for being this wonderful, wonderful sounding board and set of thought partners with whom I share a conversation about this stuff. And again, you know, I'm showing up here, knowing that I was showing up here to speak to you about this is such a huge part of why I think these insights are coming through me, and why I'm being treated to the insights that I'm having. I can tell that they're emerging because I'm in service to something and someone in a conversation that's outside myself, and it's a huge, huge thrill to have you in my life. Thank you, love you, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.